Last time we met Sigmar of Katarina, as well as a headless Titanite demon before heading to the mystical land of Darkroot Garden. There we met a butterfly created by Seath the Scaleless, as well as ancient stone warriors, which made it seem like this was from a distant time. We summoned Witch Beatrice to help us out, and luckily, after an embarrassing death to the Moonlight Butterfly, she was able to kill it, and thus giving us the spoils before we head down into the lower Undeadburg. What's up? Welcome back. It's part 8 of my Dark Souls guide. My name's Joel, and today we're changing up our fashion a little bit. Rocking the Claymore, some of the Elite Knight gear, and got the Caduceus shield this time. No different stat-wise than the Tower Shield, we're just doing it for fashion. I upped my endurance to 20. I just put all those souls into endurance because we're going to need it. It'll help us with the fashion, like I said before. So we're going to go take on those gargoyles once and for all, ring the Bell of Awakening. But first, real fast, I just wanted to check with Andre to see if we have any more dialogue that we missed.
My, that's a rare ember you have there. I've seen one of those before. It's the ember of a divine blacksmith. Might you consider leaving that with me? I could produce divine weapons with a flame such as that.
I can't remember if I read this or not, so I'm going to read it real fast and then give it to him.
I see. It's a pity. I'll be seeing.
Divine weapons are used for undead hunting. Used against undead in the pawns of necromancers. So, okay, so I did read this. Yeah, you can have it.
Well, thanks for that. You've made a fine decision. You soon shall see.
So now you can see with a green Titanite shard, we can modify +5 weapons into divine weapons. And you can see the stats there. For instance, my Claymore +5 does 154 damage, or it has a 154 attack rating. The Divine Claymore, it actually takes down the attack rating, but then adds a magic type of damage, in this case Divine. So total, you know, you've got 105 attack rating, plus you've got 127 Divine, which is a total of 232 damage as opposed to 154. Obviously better. It actually can not be better in some cases because with 2 damage types, it checks 2 defenses on the enemies. So for instance, just the physical 154 damage, it will just check their physical defense. Whereas when you've got 105 physical, 127 divine, it will check a physical defense. It will also check a divine defense. So in some cases, even though the number will actually be a higher attack against certain enemies, it could just not do as much damage. But later on, when we go into the catacombs, these are going to be very important, and we will ascend something to divine eventually. But we don't have any green Titanite shards, and we don't really need to do it right now anyway, so we're not going to worry about it. So let's see if he has any other lore things to speak of.
You can forge armor just like you do weapons. Forging armor is even easier than forging weapons. Whether you forge weapons or armor first, well, that's up to you. But nobody wants to see you go hollow. So whatever you do, you'd better do it well.
Funny thing, Andre is one of the only characters where you'll see their mouth and facial animations moving. Most of them, they just stay, they just kind of stay stationary.
You can forge it, whether you forge, but nope, so what?
Okay, so he doesn't have anything else for us. His dialogues will change as certain events unfold, so I just wanted to make sure he didn't have anything else to say to us. Alright, so let's go back up to the Undead Church and take out this boss and ring the Bell of Awakening. I also wanted to take this time to talk about the pacing of the game so far. A lot of people that are playing the game at this point are going to be like, wow, the story is dragging. What's going on? I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what I'm doing. Still trying to ring these bells on this undead mission. Like, what's the point, you know? I'm used to these games, these AAA titles that say things, you know, they give me these clearly defined cutscenes, you know, intricate storylines, you know, it's very in your face. Obviously with Dark Souls this is not the case. We're having to kind of piece together the lore through our environments, our items that we get, dialogues from NPCs. It's definitely a different flow. It can be rewarding in many multiple ways. You know, besides the fact that it's just a refreshing storytelling narrative, you know, it's mysterious. You know, at the same time you're going through all this unique combat style. You know, this very deep and rewarding combat style and RPG, you know, typical RPG character advancing elements. You're uncovering this mystery of this world. At this point in the game, though, I would say that a lot of people would say, like, it drags. You know, what am I doing here? Why? What is it all for? And I can kind of get that. We don't know why the Bells of Awakening need to be rung. We still don't know what they have to do with our undead mission, just that we're doing it. You could see there, when you're playing online and someone beats the boss, the bell will ring and you'll actually get one Estus flask. That's what that little orange thing next to my head was. I have decided to play online from here on out too. If the invasions take too long or I die, I'll just kind of edit it out. But I want you guys to see what the online experience can be like, because I think it is important to play online. But you know, my advice is to stick with it, because what you'll find is once you get to the end, or you know, halfway into the game, you'll start realizing that, you know, putting these pieces together is starting to be really rewarding. You know, it's like watching a television show with a lot of build-up that unfolds. It finally all unfolds. And by the end of the game, when you're still enjoying this thorough RPG gameplay and deep, rewarding combat, you're also going to be rewarded with a very intricately woven and unfolding storyline that you don't get out of a lot of games. So stick with it. I know the pacing can be kind of brutal at times. It also depends on which areas you go to. You know, if you're going straight to the Bells of Awakening, it's going to be a little bit faster than if you're taking these side routes. But rest assured, it plays out very, very interestingly. Up that ladder, we'll see the fog gate, but over here, if you're human, you can find Lautrec's summon. And we're going to go ahead and summon him. So, you know, doesn't seem like a very good guy, but he is putting his summon down. He's helping us out, so there's something there. You know, he doesn't seem completely evil. Well, he does, but at least he's helping us out. And then up here we'll also see another summon sign of our boy Solaire. 2 summons? Yeah, why not? Let's do it. So again, this will increase the HP of the boss, but they're going to be so distracted between Solaire and Lautrec, it's going to be worth it. So this guy's going to go down pretty fast with a +5 weapon, Elite Knight armor, 2 summons. It's going to be very easy. Much like the Red Drake, we can cut off this boss's tail. There's going to be some bosses you can cut off their tail and get unique weapons. So that's going to be our first aim, cut off the tail. And then after that, we'll just go ahead and take the boss out. You can see the bell tower there. And that gated fortress kind of going up there. Abandoned church over there. You'll see all these stone gargoyles here. Those ones look a little different. They have weapons. These ones don't. Doesn't bode well. Bell Gargoyle. So if you lock onto this guy, you can kind of block his attacks, and then he'll get distracted by Lotric and Solaire, and you can kind of come at his tail a little bit easier. Just be careful when he goes up like that. Sometimes it can break lock on, and it hits heavily. And later in the fight, you'll find a second gargoyle comes down. Oh, jeez. Try to take this guy out so I can cut off the tail of the other guy. You can see +5 weapon, nothing. These guys slice through these guys like butter. So, oh man, they killed him before I could cut the tail off. That's all right. Got the helm anyway. And twin humanities and a sunlight medal. So we got that sunlight medal because Solaire helped us out, because he's a Sunlight Covenant member. And we can only assume twin humanities is because there was 2 of them. Let's check out that helmet. Helm of the Gargoyle, an enchanted creature that guarded the Bell of Awakening and the belfry of the Undead Church. This bronze helm was for mere appearance's sake, as gargoyle skin is naturally hard. Little in the way of defense can be expected from it. It does have some pretty decent defense, though. Go a little over our weight with it, but you can see it kind of looks cool. It does have some decent defense. We'll use it later. Alright, we did it. If you don't cut his tail off, you can get that weapon later on. So, not the end of the world. And there are other items that drop from the gargoyles that if you don't get them now, they will drop later on as well. So, nothing to really worry about. So we'll take this ladder up here. And it is important to note, as I was mentioning before, that there are answers. It is a very vague storyline, but you will come across answers, and it is very rewarding. So here we can get a much better view of that fortress, kind of leading up to what looks like some kind of large arched doorway. So, you know, it doesn't seem like they'd put that much work into you know, the model, the texturing of that area if we weren't going to go there. So we know that that's going to be an area in the future that we go to. The clouds here, they also kind of give you an idea of how high Lordran is. You know, it's actually above the clouds. So, you know, sometimes it just seems like you're kind of like surface level, like, you know, ocean level elevation, so to speak, but we're actually very, very high up in the clouds. You can see that Bell of Awakening there. Pretty cool. Okay, so that didn't tell us shit. However, we did kind of see a hint of it panning over to this fortress still, so it kind of hints that these Bells of Awakening are perhaps the entrance way to this fortress of where we need to move on. So as we learn more about the fortress and what's beyond it, we'll understand more about why we're unlocking it, why we're going there, and what this whole undead mission means. So go down here to go back. If you homeward bone, you might miss this NPC that appears down here. Very startling if you ever come down here for the first time and just go, whoa, you know. I want to say the first playthrough I even attacked him.
Greetings. I am Oswald of Kareem, the Path. Thou art a friend. For thee, a warm welcome. Cometh thou to confess, or to accuse? For indeed all sin is my domain.
Okay, so this is Oswald of Kareem. So he talks a lot about sinning absolution, things like this. So this is kind of what I would consider like an online PvP NPC character. You can abandon your covenant. Requesting absolution is kind of like if you are invading a lot of people, you will be entered into a book of the guilty where other people will defend against other people against the guilty players. So basically, there's ways to, you know, you can absolve yourself here. He also sells a few items. This purging stone is very important if you get cursed early in the game. This is one of the few ways that you can break that curse. Humans are helpless against curses and can only redirect their influence. The purging stone does not dispel curses but receives them as a surrogate. The stone itself was once a person or some other being. Indictment. The indicted player will be added to a list of unfortunate souls who will one day face the wrath of the blades of the dark moon. And again, we see mention here, slips sold by Bishop of Vilka, goddess of sin. So this tells us that our boy Oswald is a bishop of Velka. Little tidbit about him there. He sells homeward bones as well. And then here's the Book of the Guilty online play item. Checklist of indicted players. Goddess of Sin Velka oversees this list of the guilty who have disrespected the gods or their covenants and shall one day face the wrath of blades of the dark moon. So we see that Velka is basically this scales of justice sort of goddess. Like she metes out justice as needed. Karmic justice. Miracle of the black-haired witch Velka. Temporary auto counter versus heavy damage. For each sin there is a punishment, and it is the task of the goddess of Velka to define the sin and mete out the punishment. So again, this kind of miracle is, you know, an auto counter versus heavy damage. That's something that would be good against another human player. You know, not only are you going to be aggressive towards them aggressive towards you, they're going to want to deal heavy damage. This really helps in a PvP situation. So we can just see that a lot of these items are PvP oriented. Velka's talisman. Medium for casting miracles of the gods. This black tuft of hair that serves as a talisman belongs to Velka, goddess of sin. It casts miracles, but not by drawing upon faith, but intelligence. So this is for kind of a hybrid build of someone that has a high intelligence but is also using miracles. So again, kind of like the talisman that we saw Petrus selling earlier that is not based off of faith. You know, they offer you different talismans based on hybrid builds so that you don't have to just rely on your faith stat in order to cast these spells. So kind of cool. Then we see Blood Bite Ring, Poison Bite Ring, Ring of Sacrifice. One of the infamous bite rings commissioned by Sir Arstor of Kareem. Despite the dreadful rumors surrounding its creation, this ring is an unmistakable asset in its ability to help prevent bleeding. These are also good PvP type items against people that are doing a lot of poisoning, bleeding. So see what Jester he's got for us. Well, what is it? I like that one. And we can't talk to him, so that's about all he's got to say. His dialogue can change here and there, but for now he can't talk. We can't talk to him. He'll just say things to us when we first initiate conversation.
Thou art welcome any time. It is only human to commit a sin.
That guy's kind of creepy. Alright. We'll go ahead and bone out of here. So our next stop, we're going to go down to the lower Undead Burg. We got the key to that just outside of the gate, outside of the Undead Church. And so we're going to go down there. We know that there's a Sorcerer's Apprentice down there waiting for us, and possibly a Goat Demon. The merchant in the Undead Burg, the upper Undead Burg, told us that we were going to encounter the Drake, a large Bull Demon, and a Goat Demon. The Bull Demon being the Taurus Demon we fought on the ramparts. And of course we encountered the Drake on the bridge. So we know that there's a Goat Demon lurking about. And we can only assume he's in the lower Undead Burg with the thieves and dogs we've also learned about. For now, before we get there, you know, we've leveled up. We got a little bit better. It's about time we go back and take out these Black Knights, man. I'm not afraid anymore. Let's see what kind of loot they drop for us. Alright, we're back at the bonfire under the Drake, or at the end of the bridge where the Drake was. And across that bridge, kind of where Solaire was, is the basement, and we got the basement key, so that's where we're gonna be entering the lower undead burg. But beforehand, I'm gonna take out this Black Knight up at this tower. And again, I don't prefer to fight these guys earlier on. You can do it, it's fine. Especially once you've played the game, it's not a big deal. But it's just, it kind of sucks when you die to them earlier on when you're trying to make some progress. And just for the sake of making it easy and, you know, you guys viewing the videos, it's easier to come back later at this time. Dang, these guys hit hard. So I don't prefer to fight him up here. You can fight him up here, but I like to take him down below. Alrighty then. For that reason, the close quarters, it's just really difficult. Even with my high endurance, that shield just wasn't good enough to take him down. Or it wasn't good enough against that sword that he's got. It just took way too much endurance. But down here you got a little bit more space. It's kind of easier to fight him, so we'll just pull him down here. I do prefer to fight these guys with parries. It just seems a little bit easier once you learn their attacks as opposed to trying to block and backstab them, but I wanted to kind of show fighting them without it because a lot of people don't like to parry, especially first timers, for obvious reasons. You know, it's not easy, and if you miss, they're going to do so much damage to you that you can really only miss once or twice before they kill you. So come on. So he should follow you down here. But yeah, these guys will usually drop things like Titanite chunks like we've seen before, you know, very precious upgrade materials, but they'll also drop weapons and armor. So what we're really looking to find, hopefully, from these dudes is things like Black Knight shield, Black Knight sword, things like that. Those are really going to help us later on. Oh, you see it clip me through the wall. That is some cheap stuff. So that's why I don't mind cheesing guys, because they will cheese you. Get a quick backstab on him there. Yeah, they it's not cheating if they do it too. See the Claymore putting in work on this guy. If you try to fight them with any of the crap items you get at the start of the game, you're not going to do any damage. Oh, and you see there we get that Black Knight Greatsword. That's going to be so good later on. Hefty strength requirement though. 32 strength, 18 dex, so we're a ways off from that. But you can see not only does it scale in dex, it's got a B scaling in strength, which will probably go up to A when we upgrade it. Very good. Great sword of the Black Knights who wander Lordran, used to face chaos demons. The large motion that puts the weight of the body into the attack reflects the great size of their adversaries long ago. So this is a hint that the Black Knights that fought for Gwyn were used to face chaos demons. Which is interesting because the Witch of Izalith, who was, you know, daughter of Chaos and had Chaos demons, fought with Gwyn to defeat the Everlasting Dragons. So this is kind of a lore tidbit that shows us at one point the Black Knights fought the Chaos demons. So we will use that later. Very good item. You can see how powerful those guys are, even in our very leveled up state. They can still take us down, so always want to be careful with those guys. Hollows, however, I don't stand a chance. So go ahead and rest at this bonfire down here, and that way if we die somewhere in the lower end undead burg before we get to a bonfire, we'll at least be close. And this will also be close to the other Black Knight. Alright, so here's the first Black Knight. Make sure this guy doesn't stick around. Again, you can beat these guys earlier on, but the gear you get, you know, for instance, you get a Black Knight shield, you get a Black Knight sword, or the Titanite chunk that they give you can't use these till later. So the only thing you're really getting from them would be the souls and the gratification that you're able to kill this guy with your low end equipment. It's not really that hard to come back, especially since you saw our route kind of took us close to here, so it's not a big deal. But I just prefer to save it until a time like now where it's just a lot easier to kill these guys. And he has a little bit HP than the last one, so you know, one parry and a couple two-handed R1s take him down. So this guy only gave us a chunk, no big deal, but we'll be able to use it later on. And this is the treasure he was guarding that I mentioned before. Not my favorite. Blue Tear Stone Ring. The rare gem called Tear Stone has the uncanny ability to sense imminent death. This blue Tear Stone from Katarina boosts the defense of its wearer when in danger. So a little bit about that. If you're down below 10% of your health, you will get an increased defense bonus. Okay, woohoo, great. However, if you are above that and an attack would take you below 10%, you don't get that defense bonus for that attack. So for instance, if you were to be one-shotted by a boss, let's say, it doesn't give you the bonus for that one shot since you would be taken below 10%. You have to have already been below 10% health. Now, the reason I have a problem with that is because if you're below 10% health, I mean, anything can kill you with one shot regardless of defense. I mean, these hollows out here, yeah, you might not get killed by them when you're below 10% with the Tear Stone Ring bonus, but, you know, that rarely happens. Most of the time you're going to die if you get hit below 10%, or you know, if the ring was that if a hit were to take you below 10% and it applied the effect to that, it would be great. It would be a good ring, it would be usable, but in my eyes it's just not usable. There is one called the Red Tear Stone Ring, which ups your attack when you're below 10%, and that can have a variety of good uses that you can exploit. We'll talk more about that later. But I don't prefer the Blue Tear Stone Ring, and it's another reason why I don't care about fighting that Black Knight early on. It's just not worth it to me. But I do like fighting him later, like in this case, because we can still get the chunk and we still get a shot at some Black Knight gear. Alright, so we'll go ahead and end it there. I'll spend some of these points. I don't know. We might level up. Might upgrade some equipment. We'll see. But next time we'll go ahead and drop down into the lower Undead Burg and see what awaits us down there. And possibly start making our way towards the second Bell of Awakening. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I will see you next time.